Hi, folks. Welcome back to another Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing podcast. Today, Tom and I are going to talk about market leadership strategies. Now, what exactly is it? We're going to kind of look at market leadership disciplines. So, Tom, what is a market leadership discipline?
Well, this is a great topic. I've been speaking quite a bit around the U.S. on web marketing, and I added a slide to my presentation on market leadership and the discipline of market leaders. And this slide was based on a book called The Discipline of Market Leaders by Tracy and Wiersma. And this book was written back in 1995, but it still applies today, and you see it so much, especially in corporate America. What the book talks about is a very simple concept that a lot of people think is common sense and that they're probably already doing, when in fact they're not usually doing. And in fact, corporations with tons of resources and many people, lots of money, still make the mistake of focusing either on the wrong discipline or trying to be good at more than one discipline. Because the key here is that you want to pick the discipline that works for you and then be excellent at that discipline. And here's the three disciplines that are talked about in this book. The first one is called operational excellence. And operational excellence is the idea that you do what you do at your company very, very well and at a very low cost. The best example of this is Walmart. Walmart has been an operational leader for, well, since their existence, and they are one of the biggest companies in the world, one of the most profitable companies in the world, because they stick to that discipline. The second discipline is a technology or product focus or leadership. Now, this is a company that has such amazing technology or amazing products that they can really just rest on their products. Their products do their marketing for them.
That would be like an Apple, right?
Like Apple Computer is by far the best example of this. In fact, probably the best product example to date is the iPhone 6. So the iPhone 6 came out, profits soared for Apple, and they're on track to be the most profitable company in the history of companies, in the history of the world. And that's because they focus on that product leadership. Now, the third area is customer focus or customer intimacy. And this is the idea of really being close with your customers, understanding their needs, and going out of your way to service them. So right away, when you hear those three disciplines, you can see how they would start to conflict if you pick one over the other, or if you try to do more than one discipline. And a lot of CEOs and business leaders today would say, we're going to be good at all three. We're going to have great operations, we're going to have a great product, and we're going to be great with our customers. Well, what will happen is customers or your competition will beat you because they will focus on what's their best discipline, and they'll outperform you in the marketplace. And there's examples of this all over the place. The most recent example of this is Radio Shack. Radio Shack used to be the technology or product leadership company. It was a place you would go to get very unique technology products, and they thrived. And then they transitioned into trying to be a customer-focused company, but they didn't have the products to support the customer focus. And so, boom, they're out of business. And the new Radio Shack is the Apple stores. And the reason the Apple stores have become the new Radio Shack is because they are still focused on technical and product leadership, but they did it in another channel that is separate from the core Apple company. The core Apple business stays the same. It's a manufacturing company, technology business, and they sell on the web and that sort of thing. But the stores were their own entity, and they survived under this customer focus area because they could bring great customer service and so forth without losing the impact of the products, and the idea that, okay, if you're going to come into our store, we'll give up some profits and pay people to take care of you, but in exchange from that, you'll probably buy stuff in our store, and that'll make it profitable. And that's what happened. And that's why Apple can actually excel in product leadership and now in customer focus, but they excel in customer focus only because they have the stores and they have that trade-off of you're going to buy something if you're in our store.
Now, just so I'm clear on this for all of our viewers and listeners, so that the three disciplines aren't to be confused with being someone who comes out and says, okay, I have a widget, and this widget works for real estate agents. And then we have another widget that works for car dealerships or whatnot. We're not talking about different markets. We're talking about market leadership. We're talking about three things. You're either operationally sound, like a Walmart, where you can get things in, you can be the low price leader, that's what you are, because of
Exactly.
operational excellence. Technology, you either have the best platform and people will put up with either the lack of service or the high price because of the fact from a technology standpoint you are the best, or you can have the best customer service. You can't focus on all three. Just those are the three things we're talking about, right?
That's right. If you focus on all three, I mean, you have to have some level of all three, right? But the problem is if you focus on the leadership component of all three and try to be all things to all people through these disciplines, then you're going to struggle and go out of business. Or you won't be the market leader. Like, for example, take a Target. So Target is an operational excellence company, but they do have better service than Walmart, and they have better products and a little bit higher prices, but they're not the market leader. Walmart is. So Target has made that decision. And it's the same with technical and product leadership. The minute you start to take away from the power of your product and put it more into, let's say, operationals to lower cost, then your product suffers. You can think of the PC marketplace and PC laptops, how Apple just came in and dominated by having product leadership in that space and didn't worry about operational excellence. They charged a premium for their product and they captured the market.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's like and there's also things like Target. You bring up Target, and that's a good point. Target is for people who like the prices of Walmart, the way Walmart is set up, but not dealing with the hordes of people that go to Walmart. I
That's
guess
right. They get a little better customer experience there, but they
you
are
pay
going to
for
pay
it.
more. Prices are higher at Target than at Walmart.
Well, let's throw this. So when you understand where you're at, it makes things easier. So where does Intuitive Websites live?
Well, we're a customer-focused company. We build our websites in WordPress. We don't develop a software program that we build our websites in. We're a customer-focused company, so we try to get really close to the customer and meet their needs and share in their successes. And in fact, many small businesses in the U.S. should be customer-focused. Most small businesses don't have the capital to be a technology or product leader, or they don't have the ability to compete solely on price so that they'll have operational excellence. So for most of us, we're customer focused, but what's interesting about these disciplines is that you can carry them through to your website and the way that you set up your website, because websites should also have a discipline. They should also have a key area of focus. And you can see this as an example with large websites. For example, look at Facebook. Facebook has tried to monetize the e-commerce component of what they do, and it's never worked out for them. They are, number one, a social and community building website, and if they continue to put money into e-commerce, it's just taking profits from them because the focus of their site is on social and community building. So in some ways, your website should also have a market leadership discipline, and there's three major disciplines. One is e-commerce, selling products on your site. Second would be content, a content-based website to generate sales leads for your sales team. And the third would be a social community building site. Now, there's probably others like search engines. In fact, Google's a great example of being, having to be careful of their discipline, because they're first and foremost a search engine, but they're also trying to be a lot more than that. They want to be a social and community building website, but Google Plus is nowhere near as powerful as Facebook. Because Facebook's not a search engine, Google is, and Google's not known as a social media site, Facebook is. So these disciplines apply to the web too.
So let me ask you this, because I know that we have listeners that'll be going, no, wait. We do e-commerce. We do content to generate leads, and we do build a community of users of our product or service. So all three of those. Now, how would you approach something like that? With somebody who says, well, no, we need to do all three.
Yeah, it's the same, applies the same way to the web as it does to running a business and having a business strategy. If you try to do all three, then you're not going to do one of them really well. You're gonna muddy the waters. You're going to confuse. For example, let's say you're a strictly e-commerce website and you want to now have content to generate leads. The web user is not going to help but having some confusion, because if they come there to buy products and all of a sudden they're reading content and they're trying to figure out should they contact a salesperson, should they buy directly on the website, that kind of confusion will lead to lower engagement and lower conversion rates. Your competitors that do have a strong focus will capture that traffic and have higher conversion rates. So the same principles apply.
Okay, well, what about somebody who wants to say, look, and like I said, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here because I know folks are going to be saying, well, no, we have content to generate leads, but we also are trying to build a community. So that being said, for the people who are dedicated to doing that, would it be better to say, okay, my website, your organization's website should be dedicated to one of those three? Is it going to be e-commerce? Is it going to be content? Or is it going to be social and community building? One of those three.
Yes, I think it's a good
Choose
idea.
one. Now, that being said, and you say, you know what, people are looking for content. I mean, that's already been proven across. Content is king. If you don't have content, you're not going to sell. Now, I mean, especially if you're trying to do e-commerce and you're going up against Amazon. So
Right.
so would that be something where you're looking at, you want to have your content, let's go from content like a service-based business, and you want to build community. Is it better to have part of your team as part of your complete online marketing strategy? Would it be better to say, let's build community on LinkedIn, on an established platform that's already there, that already has built-in communities that you can build upon for your brand? You know, or it might not be specifically for your brand, but it might be a community for, like, if you're in real estate, we'll use a real estate professional as an example, and you have real estate seminars that you put on. Well, you have your real estate business website. Would it be better to go out and say, let's go to LinkedIn and create a community for people, or a group on LinkedIn that talks all about real estate investment? So then your content and your community starts living on LinkedIn, where you still have your content. And even from a content standpoint, you might say, okay, well, let's look at other places to develop the content and to keep it in, and maybe use your e-newsletter for your content, and have other places, instead of it being your sole focus of your website is still either e-commerce, content to generate leads, or social and community building.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. What you said is the sole focus, and also I think it's important to be careful of what your expectations are. So, for example, if you have an e-commerce website, the content to generate leads may not be to generate leads. The content may be for SEO. The content may be to build up the breadth of the site. It may be there for some users that want content to make a buying decision, right? But it wouldn't be to generate leads. So that's where the key thing is in the focus. Having worked with lots and lots of websites, and we build a lot of blogs and do a lot of blog writing, we see very, very little community building in our clients. And it's not because we don't do a good job at building the blogs or have great content. It's because the site's purpose is not community building. Most of those sites, the purpose is SEO, better rankings in Google, and generating leads. So yeah, it's really about that. It's really about what the overall results are and what you expect. And most companies, most small businesses, will either have an e-commerce focus or a content to generate leads focus.
Okay. So what can our viewers and listeners do? I mean, what are some key action items that they can do from this?
Well, I would read the book, The Discipline of Market Leaders, and read that book to get a better strategic understanding of what your business is about and what your website's about. I think that you have to determine what are your marketing website disciplines. Where is your focus, and what are the expectations for that focus? And be careful that you don't have crossover or bleed over, let's say, between these things. And then from that, this is instrumental then in building your web marketing strategy and writing your web marketing plan around that discipline. Look at competitors and look at the best competitors, and I think you'll see a trend that the best competitors do have this focus. And then choose the discipline that works best for you on the web. And if you have any supplemental disciplines for that, they're really there to support your major or primary discipline. So good luck with this. I mean, it's a challenging thing, but it's very necessary to get results.
I do have one last thing, though, before we wrap up this edition here. What about somebody who realizes that they are in the wrong discipline? When they have, because we all know that we can go through tons of examples of that, where a website might be there where they say, well, really, we're trying to put content to generate leads, but we have e-commerce set up. You know, it's like an additional, like, oh, well, we're trying to still have some add-on sales for some product that we don't own, but it's kind of add-on product that's associated with our brand. If somebody runs into that where they're like, whoa, you know what, I just realized that we're in the wrong discipline, how does somebody move from one to the other
It's a great question.
without disrupting your entire business model?
I would not disrupt the entire business model. I would not go back and start from scratch. I would think about a transition to the new discipline. And one of the key ways to make that happen is think about simplicity. So when you're confusing the three disciplines, you have too complex a business model. Same thing with your website. You're confusing these things. The website's too complex. So think about picking the website discipline that's going to be the most profitable, and think about making it simple and easy for people to use, which means you're going to have to remove some links, you're going to have to remove some content sections, you have to better organize the site so that your discipline will get results for you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tom. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us for another Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. We'll catch you on the next one.